It's March 1st, 2013. We're sitting here with Tampa Bay Startup, or Startup Tampa Bay. For those of you who are following us live, or later want to follow us on Twitter, make sure that you use the hashtag EDI2. So hashtag EDI2. I've got a powerful table, some of the most brilliant minds in the startup industry sitting right here at Buddy Brew Coffee. You can come in, you can get your live roast. They're thankfully not roasting right now, but they roast every day. It's fresh, it's good. But you can come get coffee. You can meet not just the people around the table, but some incredible people who are coming here now and talking and actually making things happen. And that's what's so amazing. Just in the 15 minutes since I walked through the door, I already have two ideas. One involving waste to energy that we hope to do right here in Tampa Bay. The individual had been trying to work with some entities, not getting very far, came in here, and we've got Lindsay Kimball from the county's economic development department, and she's on top of it. And so all of a sudden, we're solving that problem. We're finding a place for this person to put her waste to energy facility right here. We also have Tampa Bay Innovation Center. They're amazing, but they're over in Pinellas County. Now, that's all part of Tampa Bay. We're all one big happy family. But we're going to find a way to help the innovator who wants to use the Tampa Bay Innovation Center, but maybe lives in Hillsborough County. Well, let's give them an opportunity here. And so Chris Parodies and others are going to be talking about things that we might be able to do to have a facility in the Hillsborough County area. But remember, we're all big one happy family: Tampa Bay, Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco, Polk, Sarasota, Manatee. We're all one big happy family working together to drive innovation in Tampa Bay. Okay. I'm going to start to my right. I'm going to let the people who are at the table introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they're doing. If you want to reach them, we're going to try to make it so that either when you're watching or when you go to our webpage, you can get information about them, but they'll give you a little information about themselves so you can track them down and ask them questions or work with them, because this first gentleman we got here is amazing, and he's talking about accelerators and a lot of other cool things. So let's just start to my far right, and we'll kind of go around the table.
Yes, hi. My name is Irv Cohen. I'm with Southeast Capital Equity Group. Prior to that, I came down here in year 2000. I brought down the J.P. Morgan 2,000 jobs and helped create the Florida Financial Cluster Group, and very interested in creating jobs down here. And I'm working with my partner here, Chris, and Tampa Bay Innovation Center, and we're going to be setting up a Tampa Bay Innovation Seed Fund very shortly.
Thanks, Irv.
I'm Chris Paradise. I'm the CEO of Paradise Law. It's an intellectual property and biotechnology boutique law firm. And I work with the Innovation Center as a volunteer and try and help the economic development here in Hillsborough and across the Tampa Bay region as my hobby. So I'm pleased to be here.
I got to know Chris years ago when we were both on the life science subcommittee at the chamber. And when I first got elected in 2004, one of my questions was, okay, Scripps is coming to Florida. Fantastic. They're going to Palm Beach, which is where they wanted to go, but why did they not want to come to Tampa Bay? Right. And so the committee was talking about things we could do to try to bring a Scripps or a Torrey Pines or a Burnham here. And what we came up with instead was, we've got our own right here, Moffitt. That's right. It's got an idea that they want to do with Merck, and pretty soon you've got M2 Gin. And that's really what this whole startup idea is about. The Moffitts and the Mercks of the world, we want them here, we're working with them, but really what we're talking about doing is helping this nascent industry which is bubbling up from the ground. It's a mom and pop, it's one or two people, and they've got cool ideas, and what we've got is some financial and intellectual support ready to help those type of people.
One of the interesting things about that investment is that not just here in Hillsborough, but across Tampa Bay and the high-tech corridor, which is Tampa and Orlando and Gainesville, we're now recognized as one of the top 5 in personalized medicine in the country, with the Moffitt's Total Cancer Care, which is personalized medicine for cancer care, what Steve Klasko is doing at USF with the Heart Initiative for cardiology and personalized medicine and cardiology, with the personalized medicine and diabetes that they're doing at Burnham and in Orlando. We really have the core of what is a national leadership in personalized medicine, which is the future of medicine. So that investment that the county and the state have made in Moffett has paid off in multiple dividends with all those other programs that are coming here and they're locating here because they want to be a part of it.
Well, and the Economic Development Center is going to be hosting a conference, I believe in May, in which they bring world leaders in healthcare innovation and personalized medicine to Tampa Bay to talk about what we're doing right here. Is it May 1st, Lindsay? I got Lindsay Kimball. I believe it's May 1st. If we go on, yeah, it's in May. And so it's going to be very exciting. All right, to my left, we got some incredible people as well. Joy Randall. If you want money, you got a cool idea, and you want millions and millions of dollars, you just come over here and you talk to Joy, and Joy will get you millions. She'll run you through the ringer, you know. But this woman's amazing. And Joy, why don't you introduce yourself, tell you who you are, and what you can do.
So I'm Joy Randalls. I'm the CEO of New Market Partners, which is a firm that helps startups. I'm a serial and kind of parallel entrepreneur because I've got quite a few things going right now. So New Market Partners actually assists with funding. I'm actually an angel investor as well. And we help startups build out and really grow. I have another company, Applied G2, which is focused on cybersecurity and forensics. And I would call myself a startup activist. So I work with the Kauffman Foundation, Startup Weekend, a couple of the other accelerators and incubators here in the area.
And I'm Ken Evans. I also have a consultant organization called Evolution Advisors, but I'm better known as Startup Monkey in the Tampa Bay area. Also a tech, advocate for startups and just smaller businesses that need to take an idea to market. And I've been working with Joy and Mark and Chris and Irv and a lot of the other people here to bring more attention from an economic development perspective to the tech ecosystem and try to meld the two together, because there's been a disconnect for a long time about where startups and smaller businesses can contribute to our local economy. And I think we're solving that with some of the discussions we're having here.
Ken's incredibly important to this whole EDI2 concept. In fact, I give him credit for helping create it. Now, the reason I like Ken was because my kids love the name Startup Monkey. They just thought that was cool. Startup Monkey. I mean, it sounds cool, so it's got to be cool. But Ken was coming to the county meetings, talking with our staff, years past. Great people. But everybody was focused on that big corporate entity we were going to bring from another location here. Now, look, Irv has been involved in relocations and has brought, he told you, he's brought some powerhouses to Tampa Bay. But what Ken was saying was, look, that's important, but we got local people with cool ideas and businesses that are ready to go where they can actually produce things right here. But we, the county, we just didn't know how to deal with it. And so you kind of get pushed to the back of the room, and now you got a front seat. I mean, do you see that the county understands now what it's trying to do? And do you think even the seed money that we're talking about, the $2 million for the EDI2 project, is going to be helpful?
I think it's going to be helpful, not so much in the amount of money, but how it gets applied and the conversation that it fosters. Joy was talking about a lot of entities which, for the longest time, have not been part of our discussion for economic development. We talk about the statistics that Kauffman gathers, or the Battelle, or the Knight Foundation, or a lot of these organizations that focus on the startup community and early stage founders and really the next generation of technology. Not all of them are going to be big hits. Not all of them are going to be the next cure for a disease. But a lot of these efforts start small. They start with one or two people. And if you don't have the right environment to encourage those two people to take their idea and turn it into a product, or turn it into a new drug, or turn it into a new medical device, then they'll either sit on it and not do anything until someone else does it, and they can say, I wish I'd done that because I thought of it first. Or they go somewhere else where they find a more startup-friendly environment. And startup-friendly isn't all about venture capital. It isn't all about seed capital and getting someone else to fund your idea. It's about having the confidence and the credibility credibility to actually turn your idea into something you can show to someone and say, I can build a product on this. I can solve a problem with this. And that's really what startups are about. They're solving problems. Everyone talks about startups being, oh, those are the risk takers. It's not about risk. It's about someone that identifies a problem in their day-to-day life, in their job, in their area of expertise, and says, I can fix that.
Irv, okay, I mean, you've been involved with some of the largest financial institutions in the world. Why are you doing this? Why are you working with Chris? Why are you engaged in startups?
Well, I'm a resident of Tampa, and I want to see this community prosper. And I had a tremendous responsibility when I brought a lot of people down here. I wanted to make sure that there was an ecosystem for my firm. And it's the same thing now. I have 2 daughters. I want to make sure that they have viable jobs and don't have to go to Atlanta or Charlotte or Austin.
That was the mayor's speech last night at West Shore. Mayor Buckhorn said.
I believe in his speech 100%. And the fact is, and I agree with Ken, but we have to build an ecosystem. And it's all the way, I'm working with FIRST right now, which is robotics. It's all the way from the kids in high school.
What is that now?
It's FIRST organization, which is the robotics competition.
Okay.
It's all the way from the kids, learning and celebrating the kids with the future scientists and technology into the startups, and then having the funds available, what I'm trying to do, that they stay here and become the future corporate headquarters. And those are the jobs. Even when I brought big JP Morgan down here, New York was still headquarters. So
FIRST and the success that Hillsborough schools have had with their program here. They're actually they won the competition across the nation. They beat out MIT students. They beat out students all Silicon Valley.
Where were they from? What school was it?
I don't.
It's a local school.
Yeah, local school. Just don't remember which one, but they were the winners of the competition. And the fact that we don't know the name of that school is what's saying so much by Hillsborough County Schools.
Well, that's the point. We have to celebrate these kids. We had a thing at USF a couple weeks ago where we had a local FIRST event and celebrated the kids. It's one thing to keep celebrating the athletes. Let's celebrate the kids who are the future tech scientists and creators and innovators. These are the kids that are going to move on. And
they're going to move out of the area.
Well, they're going to move.
Stay here.
Unless they feel there's a community here that they can participate in. That's bar camp. That's all the things that we build around it. Create that vibe, so to speak, that becomes the place.
I'm trying to get the answer. If someone out there can get the answer for us while we're doing it, that would be very helpful. We're going to have a more interactive opportunity for those who watch to participate, to share information, to ask questions and such. But we had those students at at the county with their robots. But it's interesting. When back in 2006-07, I took 2 years, and every Friday, instead of coming here for coffee, I was going to a different school. I went to all the elementaries, I went to the middle, and some of the highs. And I would ask the kids, how many of you, especially as I got into high school, think you want to stay in Tampa Bay? I didn't see many hands. I'd ask them where they wanted to go. Oh, it was all these other major cities. Now I'm starting to hear them when I talk to students in high school or in college. I work out at USF with one class. They're talking about wanting to stay here. They see opportunity. I mean, Joy, is there a chance for people who want to come here or who live here and are like Louis Baptista, who's got this great opportunity? Louis, walk over to the table, bend down so people can see you. This is Louis Baptista. All right, I go to a hack-a-thon at the University of South Florida about 6 months ago. There's Louis with about 50 other students, one who now is working with us as an intern. And I say, how many of you have a company? And a couple of hands pop up. I hear about Createch. Louis says, I got an idea. It's a company I'm starting. And that company is Indino, right? Yes. Tell us a little bit about Indino. This is how we operate here. We just kind of
all by winging it.
Coffee, put you on TV.
Indino's 100% app-based to let you know about all events happening on your campus as well as in your city. And the best way to do that is to have organizations have their own calendar within the system, where every time they post an event, it goes on their community feed. That way you always know what's happening that day, next week, next month, and it's very easy to throw into your calendar. So I'm hoping to build a stronger community by just informing them of what events are happening.
It's cool.
And Lewis was saying, I want to stay in Tampa Bay, but I may have to leave. And he doesn't want to leave. He wants to keep his company here. So Lewis was able to get money from
Abington.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a Sarasota accelerating firm, and they've been great. They've been helping me throughout the entire process. They've been helping me develop startup costs and everything. And because of them, I'm now part of the Founder Institute, which is going to start in March.
Well, and that's fantastic, but even what's more important for us is to be able to work with people like Joy and Irv and Chris and Ken and Joel Lopez, who's over here, and others who are trying to find ways to finance and fund our startup community right here local. You've got great work being done by Linda Olson with Tampa Bay Wave, and she's got a new kind of accelerator facility at the Sykes Beer Can on the second floor. You ought to check it out. You've got Heather Kenyon with Tampa Bay Tech Forum. They're doing a lot of exciting work, but we're really glad that Lewis has been successful, and we hope that his company will work and they'll stay right here in Tampa Bay. Okay, Joy, but back to you. Funding.
No, so I think there is some funding available. It kind of flies under the radar here, and that's one of the things we really need to change. So angel investors have a tendency in the area here to keep to themselves. So it's sort of like you kind of have to know somebody to get there, to kind of get through. I think creating another seed stage fund here, because there really isn't a true, in my mind, not in Northern Florida, a true seed stage fund that exists. There's one down in the Miami area, and generally it's even the individuals who invest there versus the fund. Yeah, that's right.
What is that?
Tammy Angels. And so there are some different ways to do that. For guys like Lewis, I mean, what we want to see is, I don't want to see people giving up 40% of their company to get $25,000, because it's crazy.
Right.
And I'm seeing that here now. And it's just terrible, because they end up in a situation then where they can't get their company funded beyond that. And so if that's not enough to take you through to the end, you're just not going to be able to get where you need to go. Very much the point that you guys were making. I was actually at an event with some students at a couple other campuses this week, and one of the things they said was, we would like to stay here, but we don't necessarily want to go to work in the IT department of some other big firm, and I'll leave the names out to protect the innocent or guilty. They want to build cool stuff, right? And I think everyone who's at that age, that's really what they want to do. And those of us who do this multiple times, that's what we want to do indefinitely, maybe even sometimes to our detriment. But I want to see opportunity for that. I mean, these guys really want to stay here, and if we create this ecosystem, if we get those pieces flowing, and they feel like they can tough it out and work through that, eventually we'll have the ability to build a really thriving system here that creates more wealth and puts wealth back into this community.
Okay, you got your Austins, which are wealth creators. They've got lots of things going on. Salt Lake City, I was looking at the Forbes list once again, top 10 places, best places to start a business. What was interesting was the top 4 were in Texas.
Yep.
So Texas is doing something right. But here's Tampa Bay. And now you are in New York. And I asked you, because you're starting your own law firm, are you going to go back to New York and go to Silicon Alley, or are you going to stay here? And you say you're going to stay here. Why? Why are you staying here, and what can we do to make this place competitive with these other regions?
The reason I'm staying here is because I have a family. I like this area. I like the quality of life. I don't have to work until midnight every day to make ends meet and pay the bills in New York, which you'd have to do. Office space there is expensive. Employees there are expensive. Housing there is expensive. Everything there is expensive. Taxes are way more. So you have a much better ecosystem here as far as quality of life goes. And what you need is a growing, thriving entrepreneurial class that over time and time again creates jobs.
But I hear all the time, if we just cut taxes, we just got rid of regulations, everybody would flood in here. I look at the states with the 5 lowest taxes and regulations. They're not the states that are driving innovation. But I also know that California and New York are losing business.
They're losing business every day.
They're going, I can't afford this, I don't want to. I mean, it's got the reputation, but you get there and you're right. You can't even afford parking. How can we be competitive right here? Florida, you would think, soon to be the 3rd largest state. We could beat California and New York, and even Texas for that matter. But what is it going to take for us to get to that level?
You really need to concentrate on the clusters that you already have. So personalized medicine is great because you're already known for personalized medicine. I mean, I know people that have come down from Boston just because they believe in the promise of that in this region and are willing to stay here and bought houses here because they're convinced that that's going to be an important trend of the future. So those kinds of things where you can catch on to something and you become the world leader in that is what you need to do for a region. And that requires some support from the county and from the state. State's made a huge investment in biotechnology, which is just starting to pay off. I know there's questions
The
about
university.
Tallahassee.
Okay, so you got USF, you got UT. I got to plug UT because everybody says I favor USF. But University of Tampa's got a great entrepreneurship center. Rebecca White's doing phenomenal work there. You got USF, just short to the north. I'd like to see a automated people mover. Get some people from the airport, to our West Shore to downtown up to USF. Simple and easy, without all the fights we've had in the past. But I know that's not integral necessarily. But is being connected important? I mean, you've got if USF's sitting there, the 9th largest patent producer. They've got all this stuff going on. How can we get them, greater play in what's happening?
Right, yeah, they have 80 patents issuing a year. A significant number of those are biotechnology patents. A lot of those patents are being licensed out to places like Boston and Silicon Valley, and because that's where the companies are that have the money that want to license them.
We can't get enamored with the feel-good statistics. Yes, USF is great in getting patents. Patents that sit on the shelf and don't get licensed out don't mean anything. It takes people turning those patents or turning the ideas into real products. So we get very, very happy and warm and fuzzy about the feel-good statistics of number of patents issued or the fact that Florida is the 5th largest technology state. It doesn't matter unless it turns into patents and unless it turns into products that actually make it to market. We're talking about a lot of IT jobs and people sitting behind computers. That does not make us a tech ecosystem. We can't talk about those type of jobs and plant the flag and declare victory. We've got to talk about the people, the individual people that are licensing the things from USF or the other institutions and turning them into products.
So Chris's point, though, is a really great point. If you look at in Boston, right, so I'll use Boston as an example. If you look at the technology licensing office out of MIT, many times the people that licensing technology brings the engineers out of MIT, but yet the business graduates, right, from the entrepreneurship are out of Harvard, right? So you end up marrying different people together. So why not look at how you could capitalize on the UT entrepreneurship program and combine that with the patents that are coming out of USF?
And you know who's doing a great job at that? Jarrett Rieger and Moffitt. They are doing a great job at focusing on their own spin-outs and saying, we will hold off and not take the licensing revenue we might get from a J&J or a Pfizer or someone. We're gonna wait, grow our own seed companies, and we're gonna license the technology to them because they're forward-looking. They're saying if we have these companies spinning out from Moffitt and staying here, then that's going to go along with M2Gen, that's going to go along with Moffitt's Total Cancer Care, that's going to go along with the personalized medicine message, and you develop an environment. And then, some of the things they need are like what Irv's doing with the Tampa Bay Innovation Seed Fund, is coming up with a seed fund that can invest in those companies. And then having the kinds of communications you're talking about where you have transportation so students can come back and forth between downtown and the campus, and you can have a thriving ecosystem here in downtown Tampa.
Yeah, it seems like it's a lot of pieces. No one big piece does it all, but a lot of pieces that put them together. It's going to cost some money, but you put it together, and what you're going to get is a great return. Irv, did you want to close with anything?
No, I just said the communication and the ability for people to work together. You go to New York, and I spent most of my career in New York. I just recently visited a couple of the accelerators up there. They're all close to each other, and you get the vibe and the energy level. And we need a better a better transportation system here for people to be able to.
Our transportation system
that's key.
Challenged, and I'm being polite. It's challenged, but we're going to finally move that forward as well.
That's key.
I think that's why transportation is so important. Creating a workforce environment where people feel welcomed. Well, you know, I love, what is it, keep Austin weird or whatever
Yes,
it is.
keep Austin
You
weird.
know what? There's something to that. And, you know, I was going to wear my Cigar City shirt today because I'm a big fan of Cigar City Brewery, fourth best in the nation, or in the world, actually. But, I mean, you know, you got people now who are thinking some cool thoughts, who are doing great things here. And the kids from Middleton Magnet School are the ones that won that robotics award. So we got to give a shout out to Hillsborough County Schools, Middleton Magnet, and they are always competitive. This year they won. Those kids are bright. And when you meet those kids and you ask them, you know, if you want to stay in Tampa, they'll say now, yeah, they do. They just need opportunity. And we got to show them that we care enough about them, that with all the problems we've got and with all the challenges we have as a country and a nation and as a state, we're going to invest in them still. And so I thank you guys for being here. Does anybody have anything you need to say about EDI2 hashtag? Joy?
Actually, if you want to see some of the things within the startup community, Startup Bus is leaving this weekend on Sunday to go to Austin. It's run by Susie Steiner is leading the bus. If you go to startupweekend.com and you look for Tampa, and they're departing. They have a whole bus full of people going out. They're going to build all their products on the way to Austin.
They're one of many buses that are they're all converging on Austin from around the country.
Yes. So it's a
traveling
pretty cool deal.
competition.
So they'll
60 hours, 60 miles an hour, 72 hours.
Yep, that's the deal.
It's basically a hackathon on wheels.
It is.
And everyone, they stop along the way at all these great cool tech companies, and they stay in hostels. And when they get there, there's a big competition for who came up with the best product.
Yep.
Well, this is what I want to say to Seattle and to Austin and to Houston and to Charlotte and to Salt Lake City and to Phoenix. You're all great communities, and we're going to all work together and make a great nation. But I'll tell you what, Tampa Bay is going to be #1. I am tired of picking up Forbes magazine and seeing us like 111
That's
out
horrible.
of 200. That is unacceptable. And anybody in office who accepts that ought to be out of office. And I'm being direct. Nobody should accept that number. We should be #1. And so we're going to work our rear ends off collectively, Republicans, Democrats, you know, left, right, vegetarians, and everybody else, to try to fix this problem and make Tampa Bay really the best community possible. Thank you.